What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman, aka Allfires. Now, I want to preface this entire video by saying there are bigger publications than the ones we're going to cover today that track box office predictions, and they generally wait at least a week, if not two, to have a more accurate prediction of how films are going to fare in their opening weekend. However, and going just by the numbers which we have here today in black and white, the Marvels is tracking so incredibly far behind movies like Guardians of the Galaxy 3, even the Eternals and Ant-Man and the Wasp: QUANTUMANIA, that this is shaping up not only to be a box office disaster for Disney and Marvel Studios, but quite honestly, maybe the worst box office Marvel Studios has ever seen. We're going to talk about what the first 4.5 days of ticket sales look like for the Marvels, and again, while the film hasn't even been on sale a week yet, and there are films that start off sort of slow and then pick up towards their release, there is no indication that sort of the good favor that Guardians of the Galaxy had, or that Marvel was carrying over the last 3 or 4 years, is going to translate into sales for this film. And if they don't turn around and drastically, well, again, we may end up seeing an all-time low, and for the MCU. We're breaking it down by the numbers for the Marvel's tracking in the box office, but first, if you could grab the subscribe button. We do daily Marvel content at the channel, and that's all we do. Everything from official Easter egg breakdowns, trailers, and reviews, to the occasional industry insider report and everything in between. So if that sort of thing's for you, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below. That will automatically enter you to win our ongoing PS5 giveaway. The next one is right around the corner for Loki's finale, and incidentally, the Marvel's release. All you gotta do, be a sub, leave a comment on this video if you want, stick around at the end of the video, we'll get into all the giveaway stuff again there. Okay, so enough hyperbole, here's the black and white. This was published yesterday by Box Office Pro, who stated these numbers. The initial tracking shows the opening weekend in the $50 to $75 million range, with a domestic total range of 121 million to 189 million. And if you're curious on how that stacks up against ticket sales for other recent films, they actually put that in the article towards the end, quote, bearing out all these circumstances, initial pre-sales are alarmingly low for Marvel Studios' film. Trends are currently 69% behind the pace of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, 72% behind Ant-Man and the Wasp: QUANTUMANIA, and 42% behind the Eternals. Now again, in the past, there are movies that start slow, and there's a lot of other factors right now at play that we can't deny. Number one is the SAG-AFTRA strike, which means Marvel's normal MO of promoting the film using the actors isn't there. But I'm not sure how much having Brie Larson and Iman Vellani out front would actually have an impact on the tickets that are being sold in this initial tranche. Remember, the ones out here buying tickets like me and you in this very first week are the diehards for the fandom. There are still plenty of people who will hear about the Marvels between now and when it comes out in a couple of weeks and plan on seeing it, but won't buy tickets until they actually get to the theater. And as this article duly notes, there probably are some people out there who rather overlap with the same demographic that's watching the Taylor Swift Eras Tour at the box office, and they might have picked up pre-sales for Captain Marvel, but they've been actively buying Taylor Swift's tickets instead. So in the meantime, they're still going to go, they're just not buying pre-sales the way they would have if no other movie would have been in the box office leading up to this. So that is to say, again, these initial numbers aren't everything. It's just that they're so staggeringly low, they're causing these headlines. But there is one thing I want to point out because it's fair, especially of the movies that they're comparing this to in Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and Ant-Man and the Wasp: QUANTUMANIA. As someone who's run this channel for the last 5 years and is hopefully still a little in tune with what the fandom wants, I would have never intended to argue that the Marvels would have ever done as well as Guardians of the Galaxy 3 or Ant-Man and the Wasp: QUANTUMANIA. Ant-Man and the Wasp: QUANTUMANIA involved Kang, the next big bad of the multiverse saga, and we all expected it to go a long way in setting that up, whether it did or didn't, topic for a different video. However, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was the conclusion to the Guardians trilogy. Guardians 1, a lot of people's favorite Marvel movie. Again, I don't think it was expected to or ever intended to do as well as those two films. Marvel Studios probably had a pretty accurate picture that this would maybe be their lowest box office of the year compared to those other two, but when the numbers have been so low and across the board, when Ant-Man and the Wasp: QUANTUMANIA lost money, that's what makes this seem like it's at the absolute bottom. That being said, and if its domestic total were to stay where this initial prediction is by box office, it would indeed be the worst box office ever by Marvel Studios in a domestic run. And I still think there's a really good chance that this film won't do that, because one thing that this prediction does not take into account at all is word of mouth. And every film has the opportunity to be a good film on its own merit. There are a lot of people who might go see this and then say to their casual Marvel fan, hey, the movie was really good, and entice them to go out. To build on the point that I just made, because this film may be less consequential than, say, a Guardians trilogy completer or something that features Kang, it might not carry the same sort of urgency. Still a ton of Marvel fans who are going to go out there and see it, but aren't going to buy tickets until they get to the theater because, again, it's not sort of this huge hype film. That being said, Marvel Studios still has plenty of chance to course correct, and let me explain what I mean by that. If it weren't for how incredibly expensive these movies are, hearing that a movie would do $200 million in a domestic box office run and be a disaster is actually kind of hilarious, considering how poorly some of the actual disaster films do when they get released. Again, it's just the cost of these films that's seeing them lose money. There are still more Marvel fans, diehards, buying tickets for these films and propping them up to $200 million box office that Marvel hasn't lost. They still have a shot, but they need to tell the right stories with the right characters. Not that the Marvels aren't the right characters, but the Marvels are about to take a huge hit because of sort of the fan favor that's lost when we saw projects like Secret Invasion. And you guys who have been watching my videos for 5 years or do it consistently will know what I have to say about this. It sort of feels like I'm a Marvel fan as a kid and getting made fun of all over again by the small contingency of white noise that were never Marvel fans really in the first place, and it's easy just to kick something when it's down. They'll come through and make disparaging comments about the state of the MCU or the fandom, but again, these aren't the diehards. Diehards are the ones who are tracking these films into the 200 million, and we are all still here. So there is plenty of time for Marvel to course correct. While some projects may unfortunately suffer because of their recent track record, as long as they start making good films, the story starts serving a bigger story, and they start doing stuff on quality of what we've seen from the first 2 episodes of Loki, what I've seen of the first 4 episodes of Loki, guys, there's still plenty of fans here. More fans than maybe any other IP that's in media right now, and still gives Marvel Studios plenty of time for them to turn this around, regardless if the Marvels does end up being their lowest domestic box office. They already know what it's going to look like. They probably have predictions over at Marvel Studios that account for this. It's not going to shake them up there, except for maybe changing their course and how they go about these stories, which we've heard they're already doing. And if you've missed my coverage this week, it sounds like things are starting to get canceled. Guys, let me know all your thoughts down below. A, have you already bought tickets for the Marvels? B, are you one in the second category where you still do plan on going opening weekend, you just haven't bought your tickets yet because what's the need to pre-sale this movie? It's probably not going to sell out. I am all ears and super curious, especially since the reporting has been the way it has for the tracking. Let me know your thoughts down below. Quickly, let's get into the giveaway stuff before I let you go. All right, we are still giving away PlayStations at the channel. There's 3 left for this year. Loki's finale, the Marvels release both in November, and What If in December. We're also giving away daily comic book variants all the way through this month. In fact, we just announced 7 winners in our last video. The next winner announcement will be next week. So if you want to be entered to win and for all the future giveaways here at the channel, all the same rules will always apply. Hit the subscribe button, then leave a comment down below. Because it's truly random, the more videos you comment on, the better chance you have of winning. The best way to keep up with the content has always been to hit the notification bell with all notifications turned on. And as always, if you liked today's video, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit the like button. My name's Michael Roman. You can find me in a couple of places, Instagram and Twitter at I'mFires. You can also find me on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Apple, iTunes, with original music under the name All Fires, hence the AKA. And while I sincerely appreciate you checking my music out, thanks for checking this channel out. Stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.